Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We're going to be talking about Wrestlemania, most magical event of the year. No news and notes. We're not going to touch that. We're just going to go right into the show. An excellent show from top to bottom. 2 problems. 1, the show was entirely too long. Too long. This show ended near midnight, and it started at 8 o'clock. That's 4 hours. Too long, sir. All right? Too long. Second problem, Pat McAfee and The Miz. Didn't need that. If you were going to do something like that, could have put it somewhere else on the show. I get why they put it where they put it. Just not really a good idea. I'm not going to go into any real detail about, Pat McAfee and The Miz. I will say this about Pat McAfee. He was talked about with Nick Khan, who said there was no plans for Pat McAfee. A lot of people online were, Nick Khan lied to me. He lied to me. And other people are like, well, Nick Khan's become a pretty good pro wrestling promoter. And I'm thinking to myself, like, these guys have no idea. Nick Khan has nothing to do with the creative. He said that numerous times. He doesn't even deal in creative. It's likely he didn't even know that Pat McAfee was going to be involved with the show. That's true. WWE is so big. Just because he's the CEO of the company doesn't mean he has any idea what's going on with the creative. Now, that being said, it's more than likely that he did know Pat McAfee was going to be there. And he wasn't going to spoil it. Because somebody asked him a direct question, he wasn't going to give it away. But there's a chance that he didn't know. At the same time, if he did know, so what? Who cares? Pat McAfee did a short match with The Miz. The Miz wrestled in a tuxedo and got beat up. A funny exchange between him and Snoop Dogg. Miz as the host was very dialed down. It wasn't overbearing. In fact, I think The Miz only had like 2 segments on the entire show, which is usually not the case when it comes to the WrestleMania host. Usually the host is more involved. They have multiple segments. They do backstage stuff. And there was none of that at this show, which is very interesting and quite frankly, very different. Actually, there was more, some WrestleManias have more backstage stuff than others, but this one had almost none. In fact, I think there was pretty much no backstage anything on this show. Mainly because they had so much to get to. Speaking of which, let's get into it. John Cena, Austin Theory. John Cena comes out and Eric Bischoff's iron law of tanning reigns supreme. If a guy comes out and he has not tanned, he's probably going to lose. And he has not taken the match seriously. John Cena came out and he was pale as the vampires from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I noticed that immediately. As soon as I saw how pale he was, I was like, yeah, Cena ain't winning this match. There is no way. He was white as a ghost. He was white as a ghost. They did a good job with the Make-A-Wish kids on the stage and everything. He came out there, gave them all high fives. But Cena basically sold most of this match. He didn't do much of anything. He let Austin Theory get off, He fired up when necessary, but he basically just let Theory do whatever it is he's going to do. Theory did a good job with the cutoffs, biting Cena's ear in order to, get him off one time, biting Cena's arm to get out of the STFU one time, being real down and dirty, which is good because that's what we want from the heel. And people were eating it up. They were very, very frustrated with Austin Theory, very angry with him. The ref bump in the first match, probably not necessary, but they were trying to protect Cena on this one. Theory is in the STFU. He visually taps out. Cena thinks that he's won. He turns around to try to help the referee. He turns back around. Low blow. A-Town down. One finish. And Cena is defeated. Later, Austin Theory says that he made John Cena a believer and asked everybody else if they believe in Austin Theory now. The answer to that question for me is still no. It's still no. I get it. A lot of people are going to be this whole smoke and mirrors by him beating John Cena and being the United States champion. We'll see what this goes to. This match with Cena was pretty much a foregone conclusion, especially when Cena showed up fishy white. And he wasn't going to win this match. But the idea that this guy was feuding, quote unquote, with John Cena, where John Cena absolutely decimated him on the microphone, and then he didn't say anything to John Cena, and matter of fact, was not even an integral part of the show for 2 weeks. I mean, if you were John Cena, you would be pissed. You'd be like, yo, I'm volunteering to do some work with this kid. Put some heat on him. I just went out there and destroyed him. People want to see, in order to see people want me to kill him, he needs to get more heat. He went out there and got destroyed verbally. He got made a fool of. The bounce back should have been him cutting a promo on Cena and then him trying to get heat some other way so that Cena could blow some of that heat off in this match, even if he was going to lose. Whatever. Look, I know a lot of people they're kind of bought in on the Triple H stuff. I'm not totally bought in, but this match was solid. It was a solid match, but it was very, very basic. I'm talking very basic. Rear naked chokes. Austin Theory did 2 snap mirrors in this match. You know when the last time I saw a snap mirror in a wrestling match? I couldn't tell you when the last time a guy did a snap mirror in a match. He did 2 of them in this match. So there was no video package leading to it. So the match just happened. Like, it came out there was no video package building it up, telling the story of the match or anything like that. But it was highly energetic. The crowd was definitely into it. They loved John Cena. A lot of people were upset that the Make-A-Wish kids were there and John Cena lost. I say, look, you got to learn about disappointment sometime, kid. The right decision was made to put Austin Theory over. My issue is just that Austin Theory, you got to make him. You can't just do stuff with this guy. Again, Austin Theory had the Money in the Bank briefcase. They farted that out the window. He's got the United States title. He's basically farting that one out the window, too, because he's not really doing anything with it. But he got a WrestleMania match with John Cena, so we're going to hand wave all of these many months of him doing nothing. So there it is. Fine. You got what you're looking for. Now, the WrestleMania Showcase match over-delivered, which is always good. So the Street Profits defeat the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Braun Strowman, Alpha Academy. This match was banana. It was pandemonium. Let's put it like that. There's people flying all over the place, obviously. The crowd loved it live. It was absolutely incredible. Gable did his Chaos Theory, a.k.a. the rolling German suplex on Braun Strowman, which get a huge pop from the crowd because Chad Gable picked up Braun Strowman. And Strowman probably needs to protect himself a little bit more. Not letting, minis pick him up. But who knows, The interesting thing about that is as people popped for the big the big suplex, later, I think they started chanting for him, and Chad Gable was like, "Oh, thank you!" It made everybody laugh. So I like that. That was pretty good. Braun Strowman did a flying body splash on one of the Viking Raiders. That was pretty crazy. And my favorite spot, probably one of my favorite spots of a whole night. Braun Strowman is running around the ring, barreling people over. And then he hits that corner and Angelo Dawkins cleans his fucking clock. I was like, holy shit. That was completely underrated. That didn't get the reaction that it should have. He destroyed Braun Strowman. He made him look small. He hit him so hard. That was great. That was a fantastic hit. The finish was solid too. Ricochet goes for the shooting star press. Angelo Dawkins gets his knees up. He holds him in place actually with his knees pressed to his chest. Frog splash from Montez Ford, which actually does crush Angelo Dawkins too. Dawkins continues to sell the knee, but since Montez Ford is a legal man, 1, 2, 3, Montez Ford gets the win. All right. Really good job. The match over-delivered. Can't say nothing bad about it. Thumbs up. Third match, Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. So Logan Paul comes to the ring zip line into the ring like Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. I thought that was a very interesting in-ring choice. I thought they was never dangling people over the ring again, but hey, it worked out. Not shades of the Blue Blazer, I can tell you that much. He also came out with a giant Prime can. Somebody is dressed in a Prime outfit, and everybody's trying to guess about who it is. A lot of people think it's his brother. Some people are thinking that somebody's going to turn heel eventually or something like that. And so, but they introduced it immediately, to let you know that something is about to go on. So the Prime can is in his corner. Seth Rollins comes out, and now I learned this from the internet because I wouldn't know this, but Seth Rollins comes out and he's inspired by Rihanna. This big puffy gown or whatever the fuck he's wearing. It's supposed to be like a robe, but it looks like a gown. It got a train on it and everything. It's very, very weird. It looks like something Charlotte would wear. It's big and it's pink, and when he takes it off, this robe or puffy thing that he's wearing the Jeff Jarrett straps underneath, like over the chest. It looks so strange. It was like, what is this? I really don't get it. I failed to understand Seth Rollins' fashion sense for WrestleMania. It was big, it was loud, but I didn't get it. His entrance was big and loud too. They had an orchestra guy, a conductor for an orchestra, orchestrate people singing the song, but I don't think people really got it. They just saw a guy with a tiny stick, doodling about with it. It's like you're supposed to sing the song in relation to this guy utilizing this stick, but it was dumb. That part of everything about Seth Rollins' entrance was basura. I didn't care about it. Pink tights, didn't really have a problem with that. I mean, who cares? Bret Hart wore pink. It was the big puffy robe thing that was Rihanna-like, and then the straps that kind of threw me off. I was like, oh no, what is this guy doing? Is he cross-dressing? Clearly, he didn't get that from the men's department. And if he did, what men's department did he get that from? Do I need to know this? The match itself, however, they cooked, right? They chefed this one up. It was expected to be a banger, and it absolutely was. They told the story of Logan Paul's hand. Seth Rollins caught him slipping, stomped his hand on the ring steps. And so when Logan Paul finally did hit his knockout punch, he had to sell his hand because his hand was hurting, which was very smart. They set up the interference by the Prime Can gentleman. We found out that it's KSI. I have no idea who that is. And I clearly was like, who? And Michael Cole starts talking a mile a minute, Excalibur-like, telling me who KSI is. And I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I've never seen this guy before in my life. I don't care about this guy. But at the very least, he's an idiot in a Prime Can jumpsuit. That's funny to me. Okay, so at the very least, he was dressed like a fool. So it lets you know that he's not really all that important to this situation. So the Prime Can guy, KSI, and Logan Paul, they proceed to jump Seth Rollins behind the ref's back. KSI positions Seth Rollins on the table and starts trash talking. This is one of my favorite parts too, because he is very loudly talking to Seth Rollins. He's like, and he's got the camera doing a selfie, and he's like, "You mad, bro? You mad? How you like that, Seth? You mad, bro?" And while he's doing all of that, Logan Paul is climbing the top of the top rope, and he's going to jump off the top rope onto Seth Rollins through the table. So Seth Rollins pulls KSI, who's in this goddamn Prime suit, on top of the table. Logan Paul is not paying attention. He jumps off and splashes KSI through the table. It was great. Great segment. The crowd popped huge. And that leads into the finish where Logan Paul hits the pedigree. Seth Rollins hits the pedigree. Only gets a 2 count, but shortly thereafter he gets the stomp to win the match. Tremendous. Great work from both guys. I know Seth Rollins has been putting out lately his frustrations with particularly Cody Rhodes getting the main event of WrestleMania and how he feels like that should be him. Seth Rollins is one of the workhorses of the company. He is incredibly trustworthy in terms of being a guy that, you know, the company can look to carry the slack. The problem is we're not sure Seth Rollins is top of the card main event WrestleMania guy. You know, they tried this, right? I believe it was 2019 or maybe 2018, 2019, where the Fiend thing didn't work out for him. The team up with Becky Lynch didn't do him any favors. And people weren't really feeling Seth on that level at that part at the top of the card when he was beating Brock Lesnar and that kind of stuff. People were kind of like indifferent to Seth. And then they were just down and out and furious with him when he beat The Fiend. So people were not happy. And I know Seth blames The Fiend for that. I know that he does. But we're in a situation where this guy wants more and is, you know, openly complaining about how he feels like he should be in Cody Rhodes' position. And with performances like this, you can say definitely as an in-ring performer, he should be there. He's always been excellent as an in-ring performer. His issue has always been finding a character that he can stick with. The Monday Night Messiah probably should have been a main event guy. He was excellent as the Monday Night Messiah. He was tremendous. I think that he's good in this role too. It's an ill-defined character, however, because he just wears like women's clothes and stuff, you know, which is off-putting. But then he goes out there, has banger-ass matches, and tells people to sing his song. So it's like, okay, we need to define what the freaking character is. Like, what is the freaking character? And what is that? What is this? What motivates this character? And that's the problem. And so if he has an issue, you need to look at how people have drilled into the personas of Sami Zayn and drilled into the persona of Cody, because we know what makes those characters tick. You know, we know what everything that those characters do. We know why they're doing it. We know what motivates those characters. We don't know what motivates Seth Rollins, and we don't know why he's doing what he's doing. You know, at least when he was the Monday Night Messiah, when he was the architect, when he was part of the Authority, all of that was answered. We knew what he was doing. We knew why he was doing it. You know, we don't know anymore. We don't know why Seth Rollins is doing what he's doing now. So we're not just looking in a position where he's just kind of a gatekeeper, you know? So I understand his frustration, but I don't see what more we could do. But this match cooked. It was great. Logan Paul looked really good in defeat. He is just such a natural at this wrestling thing. He does a really good job, incredibly athletic. I have nothing negative to say about Logan Paul. He is very welcome in the wrestling space as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not mad at Logan Paul, man. He, you know, the KSI thing with the Prime, it was kind of goofy, but this is WWE. You can get away with the goofy shit in WWE. It works. And then they did it in a way where it was comedic. You know, a guy in a Prime suit can't move that quickly. And Logan Paul is very cocky, so he's not paying that much attention. So they played it off pretty well. Match 4, Damage Control lose to Trish, Lita, and Becky. The entrances, I did not understand Damage Control's ring entrance. Bayley has some kind of shoulder pad that kind of stuck out, and it looked like her jacket was 2 different shades of green. I wasn't sure what was going on with Dakota Kai. It looked like she was going to Mardi Gras, and I wasn't sure what was going on with Io Shirai either. Clearly, that's supposed to be, you know, I think that Dakota Kai is Samoan, so I think she might have been doing something cultural, but I didn't get it. Same thing with Io Shirai. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. And then with all of them being together, the characters just kind of clashed more than anything. Excellent entrance, however, for Trish, Lita, and Becky. They did a comic book noir situation where, you know, they told the story of Trish and Lita and their rivalry being what inspired Becky Lynch. And then they had the black and white entrance, you know, the noir entrance. Nice. Trish Stratus went old school with her WrestleMania 22 gear where her tittying. Oh, I like big titties. Anyway, it was an interesting situation we had with Trish Stratus's chest. You dig? It wasn't distracting because I'm not 14 anymore. But hey, that don't mean I don't got eyes. I saw them shits. The match itself was actually fairly solid. Lita is still. Lita is. So people are starting to sort of ask questions about Lita's offense. Not just her wrestling in slow motion, but also why she still uses like the twist of fate. And I think it's just something that her character does. So it's not like, she did it because she was part of the Hardy Boys at the time. She's part of their thing, so it made sense for her to do it. And it's just something she's continued to do because it's like her thing. But it is a legitimate question to be asked. Like, why does she still do the twist of fate? But whatever. I'm guessing she's still friends with the Hardys, isn't she? I would imagine so. They don't hate each other, do they? But this match over-delivered as well. The finish came with Becky Lynch hitting a manhandle slam on Bayley off the second rope. Good finish. Didn't hate it. Was actually very impressed with Trish Stratus and how aggressive she was. And she actually looked like a ring general in there. It wasn't an awful match. It was a solid mid-card match. It was actually not bad. Where do we go from here for Damage Control? A lot of Damage Control supporters are ready to pull the plug on it. I've been ready to pull the plug on it since SummerSlam. But it seemed like they've kind of been like, okay, there's nothing you could do now. They lost the tag team titles to these chicks, and now they lost to the 6-woman tag to them. What can you do? It should be over with now. And I agree. It should be over with now. We'll see if they actually pull the plug, because now you do need to reshuffle the women's division. I believe one of my subscribers said that Bayley has probably run her course as a heel and probably she needs to turn back babyface. And as long as she doesn't go back towards the hugger character, I think she should. Because I think Bayley's been a heel now for 3 years, maybe 4 years. All entertaining. She's been entertaining the entire time, especially during the pandemic. Bayley 2 belts and all that kind of stuff. It was all very fun. But I do think it's time for her now to run as a babyface. I just think that as a heel, she's reached her peak. She's never going to be a main event heel. I just don't see it. So, but is it possible for her to be a main event babyface? I don't know. And I think having shed the hugger character so completely now, she can be more herself as a babyface, and I think she'll probably get over a lot more as a babyface. But she's giving me Chris Jericho vibes, Bayley, in terms of she seems to just be having fun, and people just kind of respond to that. Like, she's technically a heel, because she calls people idiots and all that kind of stuff. But they like to play along with Bayley. They don't necessarily hate Bayley. They just kind of play along with her. And that's that Chris Jericho, we just like you kind of stuff, We let you call us idiots and all that kind of stuff because we like you. We're not really offended. So maybe she could be like girl Chris Jericho, where she's like upper mid card, I don't got no problem with that. My only issue with getting rid of Damage Control is what the hell you do with EO and Dakota, specifically Dakota. Triple H is going to take care of EO, that's his girl. Dakota Kai, however, issues. I would wonder what he would do with that. You also have to, I already think the answer to the question of what to do with Trish, Lita, and Becky is going to be answered when it comes to the women's showcase match on night 2, which I'm almost certain is going to be Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. And that's going to be the next step, is that Baszler and Rousey are going to end up taking those tag team titles from them. I don't expect them to have them for very long anyway, because, Lita's not a full-time wrestler. The question now becomes, of course, what do you do with Lita? I mean, not Lita, but Trish Stratus. Is Trish done? Was that the last dance for Trish? And she did WrestleMania, and now she goes back to her family and, putting on the yoga pants and all that kind of stuff all over again. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people expect that Trish will turn heel. I think if she wants to have another match, she probably should turn heel. Maybe Trish and Becky, or, Trish and Bayley, depending on the situation. I don't know. I'm interested in that, though, because Trish Stratus did not look bad here in this match. Lita, however, did not look good, but then again, that's typical of Lita, if we're being honest. Lita has always been a daredevil. She's never actually been, good. One of my favorite matches on the card, the Battle of the Mysterios, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. This thing was great from the jump. They did a prison video for Dominic where he's in jail with Mysterio tattooed on his knuckles, and he's wearing a Scully. He's got the teardrop. He's let out of jail specifically for this match. They put him back in the paddy wagon. They drive the paddy wagon to the arena to let him out. He's in handcuffs, by the way. And he comes out of the van and he's wearing Rey Mysterio's Halloween Havoc mask. Phenomenal heat. Everybody starts very angry at Dominic before the bell even rings. Everybody's just waiting, salivating for this Dominic Mysterio thing. So Dominic he looks like a tall version of Rey when he's wearing that mask. He takes the mask off, of course, and he does something with it. He's got police escort to the ring. It is fantastic visual. It's also incredibly delusional. I love it so much. Dominic Mysterio's entrance is unreal in the amount of just delusion that's involved. Not only with the tattoos, with the Scully, with the jail stuff. Everything about it is just over the top. It's excellent. It's just excellent. Nothing but a G thing starts to play. And Rey is riding with Snoop Dogg and the lowrider. Eddie Guerrero's Lie, Cheating, Steal theme plays for a little bit while the lowrider does its thing. And then Rey's Booyaka Booyaka starts to play. He's wearing a Great Muta inspired mask. All right. And he goes out here, has a hell of a match with Dominic. I was worried about this match because I was worried about Dominic's performance, but I no longer feel that way. Dominic he's come along quite nicely. He's found his role. Now, earlier in the match, before the match starts, they announced that Bad Bunny is going to be the special Spanish commentator for this match. So they already telling you off rip Bad Bunny is going to be involved with this. Otherwise, they had announced him online or something earlier. So Bad Bunny's on commentary. Dominic and Rey are doing very basic offense, but unlike, maybe 6 or 7 months ago where Dominic looked like a deer in headlights trying to do basic offense, he's actually keeping up with Rey now in terms of Rey's speed, Rey's technique. He's not, botching hurricanranas and all that kind of stuff anymore. He's selling, with his facial expressions a lot more. He's cheating more. He knows how to walk and get heat, just walking around talking to people. He utilized his family very well. I mean, him taking the cut from Aaliyah and throwing the water at her face was absolutely fantastic. Then he bailed when Rey came out there to see what was going on. Then he blasted Rey from behind in order to get the advantage. I mean, Dominic, the psychology, how they played this whole thing off was fantastic. Rey spanked Dominic with his belt, which of course got to be highly illegal because the belt is a foreign object. It was right in front of the referee, and the referee just kind of let it happen. All of this was tremendous. This was great. Dominic is in trouble. Judgment Day comes out. Finn Balor comes out on one side. Damian Priest comes out on the other side. Legado del Fantasma, a.k.a. the LWO, they run to the ring to take out Finn Balor. Damian Priest beats up the two members of the LWO, which are the two smaller guys, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. I'm sorry, Cruz del Toro. He beat up both of them. He took off his jacket, which apparently had a metal chain in it. So Dominic goes and gets his coat, and he searches the coat for the chain. He's got the steel chain. He wrapped it around his fist because everybody is distracted by, what's going on outside the ring and, all that kind of stuff. Bad Bunny snatches the metal chain from Dominic, distracts Dominic, 619, frog splash, pinfall. Rey Mysterio vanquishes Dominic Mysterio. It was fantastic. This cooked, all right? This was really, really, really good. The work was there. Dominic is coming along in terms of in-ring. He tried to do the Three Amigos. He botched it awfully. And thankfully, Ray countered it to sort of save face. But, it wasn't working out. So he still got more work to do in the ring. But his character stuff has reached a whole new level. And now it seems like they're going Dominic Mysterio Bad Bunny in some way. And this is going to work out fantastic for Dominic, because he gets to work with somebody who's super over. This is going to be a very special thing here, because it's likely going to be, I've heard rumors, so I might as well just go ahead and say it, that it's going to be Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny versus Dominic and Damian Priest at Backlash. That's what it's going to be. And I'm guessing it's going to be the whole thing about Bad Bunny being in the LWO. We're going to talk about that in a moment because, I saw a Latino kind of flipping their wig about Joaquin Wilde being in the LWO. We'll talk about that in a moment, though. So, apparently, if that match was to occur, that it was Bad Bunny and Ray versus Damian Priest and Dominic, I like it. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest have history. I thought they were going to have it out. They were going to stare each other down or something. Because they were tag team partners at WrestleMania just last year. So I thought they were going to go that route with it. They were going to have Bad Bunny confront Damian Priest. But they didn't go that way. Instead, they had him confront Dominic. And I like that. Because Dominic is a more beatable, more believable opponent for Bad Bunny. It's not really believable that he's going to stand up to Damian Priest. So if that's the plan, I'm all for it. This was great. The Mysterio's tremendous. Angie got into the ring. Aaliyah got into the ring after the match. Everybody hugged. We finally get to see some real emotions out of Angie. She was into it all night. The crowd were into this. This was great. This is one of my favorite matches on the show. Probably my second favorite match on the show. I even ignored all the Cinnamon Toast Crunch stuff that they were doing. Like the Cinemoji, the guy dressed as a Cinnamon Toast Crunch that was at ringside. I ignored that. Like, once the match really got started, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch branding that was everywhere, like on the ring post and all on the LED boards around the ring, I ignored all of that because the match was engrossing, So that stuff wasn't really a distraction. But I could clearly see it was there because everything got pink for a minute. I was like, what the hell? And clearly there's a man dressed as a Cinnamon Toast Crunch square standing at ringside. Well, he was for Ray's entrance. But that was it. This match was phenomenal. Kudos to both Ray and Dominic for this tremendous match. And I don't know what more to say. They did a great job. Both guys. All right. SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, undoubtedly the match of the night. And as far as I'm concerned, I've watched a lot of wrestling over the last 2 or 3 days. This is the match of the weekend. I watched Supercard of Honor. I watched Bloodsport. I love Bloodsport. It's tremendous. I watched Multiverse United. I've watched NXT. This is the best match I have seen all weekend. I mean, bar none. The most complete wrestling match I've seen all weekend. And it might be, just might be, the best female wrestling match I've ever seen. Without question. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment because I know a lot of people do that, prisoner of the moment. Oh, this is the best match I've ever seen. I'm not even saying that because I know we said that pretty much last year or maybe 2 years ago with Bianca and Becky or Bianca and Sasha and, or Bayley and Sasha at Brooklyn. or, you know, if you watch some of these Stardom women's matches. But from top to bottom, in terms of how they put their match together, this was one of the best women's matches I have ever seen. You know, Charlotte is out there, Sigourney Weaver, just out there. And it seemed like over the course of the week of all the wrestling I've watched, is usually the women that are going out there and going really, really hard, right? Between this show and the NXT show, they were trying to kill some of these girls. You know, like Charlotte almost died 3 times in this match, you know, which is one more time than Tiffany Stratton almost died on NXT. All right. So they are going super hard WrestleMania weekend. Okay. So Sigourney Weaver, I mean, Charlotte, right? Her chops on Rhea Ripley were very crisp. You know, Rhea did a great job selling them. Because there's not a huge size difference, it was believable. The counter from the Riptide into the DDT by Charlotte was tremendous. It was a stiff-looking DDT, too. So that looked good. The top rope German suplex was a bit extra, you know, and there was an awkward landing to it on Charlotte's end. Now, this was from the one from the top rope. This ain't the one when she fell on her face. So, you know, that was an ugly one. So she decides to double down. She's going to take another German suplex, but this time it's going to be from the ground level. She's also going to try to do basically a standing moonsault. And she ended up landing on her face. Charlotte landed on her face. Basically caused rug burns on her own nose. This is when I started calling her Susan Sarandon and all this kind of stuff, because I'm basically like, she's out here acting her ass off. She's out here getting it in. You know, she's just out here going all out. All right, she's going all out. Charlotte is out there to shove this thing up their ass. She wouldn't get the WrestleMania main event, which she believed that she and Rhea Ripley deserved. She's going to shove it up their ass. So she went out there to do just that. And they had the match of the night. It was tremendous. It was tremendous. Riptide from the second rope is what gets the win. Rhea Ripley is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Fantastic match. More so than just the athletics. The tension in this match was real. It was aggressive. It was very aggressive. It was, you know, exactly what you want from a wrestling match. It felt like a fight. You know, it felt like a fight. There was some storytelling involved physically, where Charlotte going after the knees, and, you know, with Rhea Ripley utilizing her strength, and then Charlotte trying to negate that strength. You know, there was very minimal cheating on Rhea's end, which I would have liked for that to be a little bit different. Also, because the match was mostly clean, you know, it put Charlotte in a weird position, because again, she's, you know, the babyface in this situation. And she has to be very aggressive. And she's not fighting from underneath, you know. But people were still like 100% behind this. And there was a lot of tension about whether Rhea Ripley would actually win. The only problem I really had was Charlotte used natural selection in this match, and it was kind of sloppy. You know, that's one of her finishers. For her to like kind of be sloppy with it was kind of weird. But I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and there's not much to talk about in terms of what was wrong with it. This match was tremendous. The main event, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag team championships. Controversial to put this on last. Even more controversial to put this match on at like 11:30. I mean, come on. We could have shaved something out of this show to get this to 3 hours. Little Uzi Vert, for some reason, did some kind of Soul Train-esque lip sync thing for, I don't know, like 90 seconds or whatever before the Usos came out. And I'm like, surely they didn't pay this person for this. For starters, who the fuck is Little Uzi Vert? And why is he involved with this? Where the fuck did he come from? You know, I was very angry when I saw this Little Uzi Vert person, mainly because I don't know who it is. Secondly, I was like, bro, it's 11:30. What the fuck are they doing? Why did they decide to trot out Pat McAfee? Why decided they tried to trot out little Uzi Vert at 11 o'clock? Bro, come on. You need to smarten up, bro. I know you want to, I know Rhea and Charlotte was so good. You have to put something in between so people can go to the bathroom and they can come down a little bit. But, bruh, please. Anyway, this match was very solid. It wasn't, the best match ever, but it wasn't the worst match ever either. And it was essentially Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso with partners. That was the story of the match, with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso with partners. Let's see. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both were wearing PWG patches, I think, on their tights. Or they were sort of mock logos or something to that effect. My only response to that was, WWE has potential buyers and advertisers and stuff at these shows. They're telling these people, hey, you should give us millions of dollars to advertise on our show. Why should some G League wrestling promotion get free advertising because the boys used to work there? I'm just saying, oh, but PWG, they're not competition. That's not the point. The point is, maybe if I become good friends with Kevin Owens and pump him full of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, he'll wear a Cinnamon Toast Crunch shirt at WrestleMania in the main event. And therefore, I won't have to pay the exorbitant fee to the fucking company. How about that? But I'm pretty sure it was some kind of modified logo anyway, because, they don't want to, run the risk of it getting blurred or run the risk of it, getting sued by having somebody else's intellectual property on your pay-per-view without permission. So, whatever. But I saw the wrestling nerds really just kind of losing their mind because PWG is getting acknowledged. While, of course, it aggravated me because I don't think we should be reminded of, how you used to wrestle in some, stank gym. It seems silly to me that we even care about that kind of shit right now. But this is a sort of statement in terms of how WrestleMania is going to go from now on. Now that Triple H is running it, he's going to just throw indie marks in the main event. That's just kind of how it is. Look, I think that the Bloodline story is one of the best stories there is. The Mysterio story is another one. And if I had to critique this WrestleMania, you put a lot of really emotional matches on night one. Night two is kind of light on that. But that's neither here nor there. This match, however, let's talk about this match. A lot of super kicks from the Usos. Having done the Bret Hart thing with the leg slaps, it becomes completely and totally noticeable. The more you watch the Usos, the more they like to throw super kicks and slap that leg. They slap the shit out of them thighs. You be like, oh, baby. Sami Zayn kicked out of the one and done, which was special because nobody had ever done that before. Showing that Sami Zayn has, the fire and the will to win that JR used to say. The will to win. Ultimately, the Usos powerbombed Kevin Owens through a table. We knew that wasn't going to stop him. It never works. Trying to turn these matches into singles matches almost never work, but it's good ring psychology regardless. Jay was still very frustrated by Sami, saying that he was his brother. He's smacking him, pushing him, beating him up. But he didn't have that killer instinct, he didn't have that killer instinct. There was still, I think, some remorse there. But all in all, I think it took like 3 haluva kicks in order to beat the Usos. It was the right decision for the Usos to lose. The crowd went absolutely bonkers. Just bonkers on this main event, especially when the 3 count happened. And you learn a very valuable lesson on this show, which is not something they always do at WrestleMania, is that people want to see the bad guys get defeated. That's what they want to see. They want to see people who have a lot of heat lose. That's what they got with, Charlotte, because a lot of people don't like Charlotte. That's what they got with Charlotte. That's what they got with Dominic Mysterio. That's what they got with Logan Paul. That's what they got with the Bloodline, with the Usos. People who have a lot of heat in impactful matches taking that L. In some of these situations, like with Charlotte and the Usos, they lost their championships. When it comes to Logan Paul, he got embarrassed. He crushed his own homeboy. His plan to fuck over Seth Rollins, fell apart. It didn't work. With Dominic, it was the exact same thing. He had a plot. He had a scheme to beat up his dad and to humiliate his father, and it didn't work. So they lost face. They didn't just lose a match. They, were underhanded in their attempts to win and failed. So they really embarrassed themselves, really, which is great. And it's a good juxtaposition to Austin Theory, who did everything in the book and managed to survive John Cena, So if you're watching this show, the only heels that won was Austin Theory. He was in the first match. The rest of the time, the babyface won. Technically, the heel won is Charlotte and Rhea Ripley because Charlotte was the face. But if you ask anybody in the audience, I'm pretty sure Rhea Ripley was the face, based off of them just not liking Charlotte. But my critique of how this thing is going to set up, I've already said it. A lot of the most emotionally cathartic feuds were on night one. The Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Mysterios. Of the three storylines that they had going on that were very, very hot, they blew off two of them on Saturday. Now they only have one of them on Sunday, which is the Cody Roman match. That doesn't mean they don't have a solid enough card, but I'm looking at the Sunday card and I'm saying, are people really all that invested in Edge and Balor? Not to the degree that they were to the Mysterios or to the Bloodline story. And this has been going on for a year. So it makes sense, perfect sense, that would be one of your high emotional investment matches. But I'm really questioning whether people are really that emotionally invested in the match like they would be for the Mysterios, like they were for Mysterios, Usos, Zayn, or whatever, That will be the question, is whether people are going to be as up and as interested in the ending of the Edge story, which, let's hope that they do, because that match, a lot hinders on that match now. Because you look at this night from top to bottom, it was excellent. Even the stuff that I didn't think was going to be any good ended up being good. On the second night, however, Cody and Roman ought to put on a hell of a match. I expect a lot out of the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. And I expect a lot out of the Hell in a Cell match. The rest of the card, kind of shruggy, but I am interested in how they're going to counter the heavy emotional investment of night one with the sort of, I guess you could say, lack of emotional investment in night two. Also, there's two things I want to discuss before I end this. One, Conan. Conan gave one of the best induction speeches for Rey Mysterio. It was one of the best induction speeches for the Hall of Fame, period. It was tremendous. It was fantastic. I didn't even watch all of the Hall of Fame. I just watched Conan's speech and I watched Rey's speech, which were basically the same thing. Rey basically told the same stories Conan told. But Conan was the perfect choice. Of course, there could be nobody else that was a better choice. And he literally went up there and said everything like he meant it, and was dropping gems on people, dropping bars on people, Conan and Rey, their relationship is tremendous. You love these guys. All right. The final thing before we wrap it up is more gossip that I heard Bobby Lashley's going to have an open challenge at WrestleMania on Sunday, and that perhaps this open challenge is going to be answered by Gable Steveson, the young man from the University of Minnesota who won the gold medal in wrestling. and that it's possible they're going to have him answer Bobby Lashley's challenge. I'm not going to say that there were other people that were offered as well, and there was people from NXT that, somebody said Braun Breaker could be the guy, or Cameron Grimes, or Bronson Reed, or Karrion Kross, or whatever. It could be anybody if that's going to be the case. Let's not go into that. My thing is, if it's Gable Steveson, it's an interesting decision, but it's not one that I would make. Why would you put Gable Steveson in there with Bobby Lashley? Of all people, why Bobby Lashley? In my opinion, if Bobby Lashley's going to have an open challenge, him losing to some rookie like Gable Steveson is probably not the best idea, because you want to put Steveson over in his first match, right? I would not put him in that situation. Now, if it was The Miz, then yeah, I would, it's okay to do it then, because The Miz, nobody cares. The Miz doesn't take it serious. He won't even wrestle in like gear. He'll wrestle in like, a tuxedo or something like that. But if, you're talking about Bobby Lashley, a guy who just won the Battle Royal, guy who has been former WWE champion, was just, into these crazy fights with Brock Lesnar, and he's going to lose to Gable Steveson, a guy who's never had a wrestling match before. I don't know about that one. I don't even think that Bobby Lashley should even be losing this open challenge. I think he should win, to be quite honest. But that's just a Bobby Lashley fan in me talking like that. Same could be said for, other people who just hate him and say he should lose to whoever. I like Lashley, so I'm like, who's coming out here to get their ass whooped? You feel me? But protect the people. If I wouldn't let it be somebody that, some new signing that we're bringing in, or some NXT talent or whatever, because why put him behind the 8-ball? It should be somebody who's already on the roster, But I'm interested in seeing how that's going to work, because maybe they do Lashley like Seth Rollins the previous year, where it's like he's just going to stand in the middle of the ring and he's going to wait for somebody to come out, and it's going to be a new signing. Maybe that's going to be the case. Or maybe it's going to be somebody from NXT or something like that. But I'm very interested in what this almighty open challenge is going to be about, even though it was not announced. It's just been rumored. But something tells me that, it being rumored means it's actually going to happen. That would be nice if it does, because Bobby Lashley, getting screwed out of a WrestleMania match because of Bray Wyatt and whatever happened with Bray Wyatt, which, nothing has been confirmed yet. Whatever happened to him, he got sick, he fell down the stairs, one of the kids got sick, whatever, who the hell knows. But that's unfair to Bobby Lashley. But overall, WrestleMania was an excellent show. Could have did without Pat McAfee segment or the little Uzi Vert stuff. Wish the show was shorter, but the show was tremendous from top to bottom. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap.